Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve Ramona and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. We believe when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a community leader, somebody making a ton of money, making millions of dollars, or simply want to bring purpose to your daily life, this podcast is here to support you and help you. Now, while you're listening to my incredible guest, we're going to talk about a tough subject, but she's going to bring roses out of the ground because of this, what she's doing with cancer. We're going to talk cancer, but it's going to be a great thing. And I want you to think about how you're going to serve today, how you're going to create that service and impact with that service. It's today. Let's not wait till tomorrow. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by our phenomenal partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine you're being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from diverse industries, growing a network, growing referrals, but growing together to be thought leaders and experts in the field, but more importantly, changing the world. If you're interested in Pantheon Alliance, reach out to me and we will get you connected. With that being said, it's a subject that I've had cancer. I've had skin cancer. So it's personal for me, nothing serious. And I want to make that a point. My guest had it very serious and I was blessed by God that it wasn't, but I've learned a lot. And I actually learned when I ran a restaurant in 2002, 2003, 2004, the owner of the restaurant got cancer, skin cancer, and didn't get it taken care of and passed away in his 40s. Some of you know who it is. I'm not going to say names, but I've learned these lessons and you're going to learn a ton of lessons and inspiration from my guest. Deb, welcome to the show.
Well, Steve, I am absolutely honored to be one of your guests. This is going to be so much fun.
Love your energy, especially when we're talking cancer. Let's start there because we started our talk with, I call it the C word. When I first heard the C word in 2011. Yeah, exactly. And I called my best friend and he was a pharmacist. He calmed me down. He goes, let's walk through it, do their thing. And it turned out to be okay. What's your thought when people hear that C word?
I think your immediate reaction is a true visceral gut reaction. Say bad words here, right? And because we all know somebody who has had cancer, many people obviously have been, as blessed as you are, but there are also so many that we've lost. And so when we hear the word cancer, we immediately think, oh no. And then when we think it's me, we really think, oh no.
Yeah. And let's take it a step further. That, oh no, get a punch in the gut. You come in and go, I'm here to support you. Talk about how you do that.
Well, it's been quite the journey. I was initially diagnosed back in 2015. If it could go wrong, it did. I just, because I have to be special, that's just kind of the thing. And several years ago, now let's go back even further. I used to work many years ago for an oncologist, and then I worked for the American Cancer Society. And so I tell people I know just enough to be dangerous, right? I recognize those terms and I know to think, oh dear. But my journey was going along, and my business coach of all people, the wonderful Kathleen Caldwell, told me, she said, you didn't go through everything you went through without using it to help others. And I paused. We were on Zoom and she was shaking her finger at me, right? And I said, yeah, but I don't want to be cancer girl. That's quite the cape. I just no.
Yeah.
But I was already doing that. I mean, doctors would have me come in and talk to students. They would have me come in and talk to other patients. That's just kind of always something I have done. Sometimes it's because I'm nosy, sometimes, all these various things. But I've always had that attitude of what can I do to help? And so, I listened to Kathleen and we decided, how can we start this initiative that will help people who get that diagnosis or who are the supporters of people who get that diagnosis. And so that was why we started trying not to die.live.
Gotta ask you, I gotta have the answer to this because you have so much positive energy. Is it because it was 2015 and you never passed it? You're always thinking about it. What gives you all this positive energy? Because you're living it. You lived cancer.
Well, because I'm actually on diagnosis number 3. Yay. But I've always been like this, this Miss bubbly, chatty Cathy type of person. Now, I'll be honest, there are times where it's like, no, I'm mad at the world. I don't feel good. Why me? Whine. But that goes away pretty quick. And I think it's very natural for someone to have those bad feelings. It's kind of like the stages of grief, right? We keep going through them. But the key is to come out of it. And I am just naturally, like I said, this gregarious, chatty Cathy. I know that there are times where my doctors are like, oh, it's her again. But like I'm actually still in active treatment. I get an infusion every 21 days. And they always, now, what is your name and date of birth? It's important to have that. You got to make sure you're getting the right drugs, all those various things. But I tell them, well, I'm Anastasia Beaverhausen. And now I don't do it with new people because that freaks them out. But they've decided in my infusion room that I am Princess Anastasia Beaverhausen. So of course we have to do the Queen wave and all of those various things. And I was just in the hospital last week and I told them, excuse me, you need to call me Anastasia Beaverhausen. But my goal is also, especially our medical support system. They have such incredibly hard, difficult jobs. And if I can make them laugh, I'm going to make them laugh.
Shout out to that group. Doctors, nurses, they're good.
There are superheroes. Yep.
There's teachers, nurses in the military. I mean, that's my opinion on it. It's just God bless them. God bless what they do because it's not easy. So what's a tip? Somebody's listening and they may have a cancer diagnosis, not good or not so bad. How can they have more of a positive attitude? Is it the support?
It's a lot of the support. One of the things that a lot of people tell me is they've never felt so alone. And part of that is we do that to ourselves. We don't want to be a bother. We don't want to seem like we're whining, all of those various things. And so when people say, hey, Steve, how you doing? You say, I'm fine. All right. And instead of saying today is not a good day or today I feel fantastic. So it is about building that support system. It's about educating yourself. I do firmly believe that my medical team are my superheroes, but I'm the person in charge. I need to educate myself and I need to make sure I am comfortable with whatever decisions I am making going forward at every step of the way. And I think a big part of that is that helps us get things back under control, right? Because the first thing you think when you hear you've got cancer is your world goes wackadoodle. And so what can you do to bring it back under control? And that is to educate yourself.
And I told you the story. My best friend, Mike Sullivan, shout out to Mike. I know he listens. Is remember when he called him, he educated me. Steve, it's this is probably this, because you're right. You're lonely. And I don't want to talk about me, but I know exactly what you're saying. And I lived alone at the time. I would sit down. My dad would call and check my mom, whoever. But when you sit alone going, is this the big one?
Right.
So you have the surgery and everything's checked and margins and all that. I love the community thing. It's so powerful. I wish I had you back then.
You got me now.
Yeah,
we're a team now.
So we're going to share it with everybody. I love your attitude. You're so much like me. You have on your website a very cool, I want to call it moniker, Coalition Builder and Warrior. What is that?
So when I was initially diagnosed, I was diagnosed with stage 0 breast cancer, which was easy peasy. Don't worry about it. My official diagnosis changed. It is now stage 4 metastatic triple positive breast cancer. That's not good. That's not good. Yeah. But, I'm like, whatever. But somewhere in that early process, someone sent me this saying, and it says, fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. And the warrior responds, I am the storm. And so I think we all are warriors. I tell people, you call me a patient, I'm going to make a face at you. But we are warriors. But it's exactly what I was saying. No warrior stands alone. We have to have a tribe. And that's, we've got to build that community, whether it's, obviously our medical people, our loved ones, our caregivers, our friends, whatever it is, we've got to build that tribe. And what's really important is we have to be honest with them. We have to tell them, I'm not having a good day. I need somebody to go to the grocery store for me. Whatever it is, we've got to be honest with them.
I love the tribe. I love community too, but I love that tribe name because, Indian tribes, they all work together to do food, to hunt, to grow, to pray and all that, right?
Right. Well, and our logo is it's a female warrior because let's face it, especially with things like breast cancer, all those, it's going to we're going to have more women who are involved. But I had this wonderful student that was at the design college here in Georgia, design this logo for me. And so this warrior woman is kneeling, but she has planted her sword in the sand. She's drawn the line. She's drawn the line here. And more importantly, she is looking up and forward. She's not looking down. She's not in any way, saying this is going to beat me. She's saying, what am I doing?
And people on YouTube, of course, the podcast, but YouTube, you can see it behind her. It caught my eye right away because I like that stuff. Gladiator, I'm a big, but it's really unique. And I love that you said that it's a woman trying not to die. People could take that 2 ways on your website. Really, that's what you're doing. You've got cancer, support team, your tribe, but you're being educated how not to die.
Right.
Is that worth the whole story?
It is. It was, as I mentioned, I was special child. I had my first round of chemo and it darn near killed me. I ended up with septic shock in the hospital for 7 weeks. Very, very ill. I mean, inches away from dying. And I'm an only child. My mom lived in Kansas, and so she came out, of course. And at some point, one of my lovely medical people came and went, and I got the disapproving mother face. And I went, what? And she said, you did not say thank you. And I said, oh, for God's sakes, Mom, I'm trying to not die here. But then when, we started really working on it later, I thought about that and I realized that is so true. We get, whenever we have something, especially a serious illness like this, we get so caught up in trying to not die that we forget that the most important thing is to live.
Yeah, I saw something. I'm looking through my notes here. Embracing life as equally essential as the survival of cancer. It's so crucial.
It might be 5 days. It might be 50 years. Who knows? I mean, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, right? Yeah. And so what are we doing today to make a difference?
Empower. You've got your website's full of great taglines. So thank you. It makes my job so much easier as a host.
Thank you. I did hire it done. I had a very wonderful brand consultant who helped me.
Tell them kudos because they did a great job. Empowering through adversity. It's a complex sentence, but it's so meaningful. Talk about that.
It really is about taking charge and being your own advocate, empowering yourself. It's very scary. We've said that. And, for you and I are about a year apart in age. And our generation, and especially older than us, our doctors were gods, right? You went with whatever they said. it wasn't, it was just, they had all that education. They had all the, all of that stuff. They knew what they were talking about. Silly us, we didn't know. And then came, these younger kids and the internet and all these various things where we discovered, what, I can research this. And so it is about empowering ourselves, and whatever decision you make, you need to make it with knowledge. I mean, you can't just say, no, I'm not going to do this, or, okay, I'll do whatever. Now I chose a very traditional approach. I mentioned chemo. And then I did have surgery. I had a double mastectomy. And then I had radiation. So I did all of the very traditional things. But I know people who have chosen none of that and are still here. When I worked for the oncologist, now this was 35-ish years ago, he used to always tell people 99% of this is in your brain. If you believe what we are doing will help you, then it will help you. If you believe it will kill you, it will kill you. And that really was a big part of it, is we have to empower ourselves and trust ourselves to make those decisions. And I think now the nice thing is we see a lot of combinations, right? We now have nutritionists, we have yoga, we have meditation, and then, obviously lots of other types of things. But it is about, empowering ourselves to make those decisions for our own health. And I don't care if it's cancer or not, we should be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say indecisiveness will kill everybody.
Right.
Dream. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I'm hearing from you, which is a great message, is we have to be direct.
Right.
Hey, you know what, doc? I'm going holistic with my cancer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I'm educated. I'm going back to what you said. It's just such full circle. Educate yourself. I think holistic food, nutrition, right, meditation, and breath work are for me. Now, I'm very direct with this. That person might pass away. Right. But they died on their own terms, right?
Yes. And let's be honest, if your doctor or, whatever medical team, if they have a problem with that, then they shouldn't be part of your medical team. I fired 3 doctors during this process, actually probably more that I just didn't go back to, because I have my bingo card of doctors, right? So they had to be part of what my decisions were, and they had to back them, or they weren't going to be part of my team.
Yeah. The empowerment it's so exciting because you've got this crazy, scary cancer diagnosis, but you can control it,
right,
to a point. You can be the leader of it. And does that help make you have a positive attitude, or help you have a positive attitude?
I think it does, because it comes back to that other C word, control, right? When we are in control, it's just kind of naturally going to calm us down. Now, are things going to happen? Sure. Yeah. I certainly did not expect to go into septic shock. It was pure fate that I survived. We're 5 minutes from the hospital. My doctor had another patient pass away from the same complication, so she knew what it was. But I remember hearing the surgeon and an oncologist arguing over how fast I was going to die that day. And I remember very distinctly thinking, excuse me, I get to vote. And really, there were no lights. I didn't get that far or anything like that. But, it was like, no, it's not my time. And so it's been a very interesting journey. One that, you hope nobody ever goes through, but how can we help those who do?
Yeah. And chances are much higher now than they were 20 years ago.
It's about 1 in 2. I mean,
so 1 in 2 right now.
Well, and part of that, though, is not a bad thing. It's because we're catching things so much earlier. I think, and obviously the earlier you catch whatever it is, the better it is to treat.
And it's always the glass half full, half empty. Yeah. You can look at it 2 different, and that's your choice.
Or you can just refill it.
Yeah, there you go. What a great attitude you have. Well, let's talk about a fun thing. I love podcasting. Talk about your podcast. What's the goal, mission, and what do you do with it?
So I love my podcast. It is a business podcast. It's called The Business Power Hour. I have to say it that way because it's trademarked. But we will hit 1,000 episodes in September. So I've been doing it a long time. as I said, I like to talk. I like to chat with people.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. I really have enjoyed every single guest that I have had on. And more importantly, I've learned from them, which then I'm hoping that if I'm learning, my listeners are learning also. And so it's so much fun. And it's a business podcast, which you would think seems kind of boring. No, we have a ton of fun with it. And the cool thing is I interview whoever I want. I mean, during COVID, we had mental health, we had nutritionists. I've interviewed a friend of mine who started a foundation because her son passed away due to overuse at a very young age, a teenager age of THC and marijuana. And so, and which, it actually, I had no negative comments. It was very surprising. I was expecting it.
Yeah.
But I've also talked with, like a young man who is, he was from Africa. He now is in Dubai and he runs $150 million fund. I mean, it's so much fun to be able to talk with people, but they're all down to earth and they all want to help people.
Yeah. And that's what I love about podcasts too, the stories we learn, like
Mhm.
learn your story. I knew a little bit, but now I
Mhm.
know more of it and the audience knows more of it. Let's have a little bit of fun. Want to have
Okay.
some fun? I know
Perfect.
you're
Of
fun.
course.
So I'm going to ask this question. It's to learn more about you.
Mhm.
So you're going into a restaurant. There's a
Mhm.
table of 4 set up for you.
Mhm.
You're obviously sitting in one chair.
Mhm.
In the other 3 chairs, dead or alive, who will sit in those chairs? Why? And I say the most important thing, what food would you order?
Well, my husband's going to be there. And we've been married over 30 years. I think it's 33. You reach that point where you stop counting, right? And next week is our anniversary. I love Shaquille O'Neal. I think he would just be a blast. And recently I've really been thinking, wouldn't it have been so cool to have known Bob Newhart?
Oh, what an eclectic group.
I know we would have
I
had,
love it.
just quite the conversation.
What will we be eating and drinking?
A little bit of wine. I don't drink an awful lot because usually I'm the designated driver. Steak, and I know that's on the list of, gee, you shouldn't do that. But I do it every once in a while as a treat. But I'm a steak girl. I'm from Colorado. We eat steak
Yeah, good old
and chocolate.
steak.
Gotta have something in there that's chocolate.
Yeah, you got a little dessert there. Look at you. You got the full plate there. I love it. And you're right. Every once in a while we can cheat. I've learned that lesson.
Right.
It's a great lesson. Before I ask this, how we can support you, what's the last words you want to leave to people with cancer that are listening?
You are in charge. You need to take charge and make sure that every decision is yours. And do not go through this alone. You can build your tribe. Your tribe might change, but people want to support you.
So well said. What a way to end this show. By the way, how people can support you, how can they contact you to support you or ask questions?
Well, again, Steve, thank you so much. This has been such a delight and an honor to be on your podcast. The website is tryingnotodie.live. We didn't even talk about the live part, but it is tryingnotodie.live. And there's all sorts of places on there to reach out to me. There's also a link on there to our private Facebook page. We have it as a private group simply because every once in a while you get the people who are going to cure you. They mean well, but they're going to cure us. And so we kind of keep those people out. But the Facebook group is a great place for people to get support and share with each other. And so I encourage people, just go to the website. You'll see the big link, join our Facebook group and give it a click.
Let's make a public deal right now.
Okay.
I'm going to bring you, I would love to bring you back. I'm telling
you.
I'd
love to.
Love to. And let's talk living.
Okay.
Because what a great segue from what this show did. And we'll work those details out. So you get to see Deb again because I'm so blessed and people are so blessed to work with you. You're an angel. You're going through hard times yourself, but you're still out there serving. Any lesson you got from this, she's going through cancer, going through chemo, but what is she doing? She's still serving people. We have no excuses. Let's take care of each other and we'll be better off. Thank you again, Deb, so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Been great. Don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve. It's every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And me and Deb, thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. You all have a great day.